The rain had stopped just moments before sunrise, leaving behind the smell of wet earth and the soft glimmer of sunlight over the quiet streets of Maplewood. In a small, fading house at the corner of Willow Street, a man stood before a cracked mirror, tying the same old blue tie he had worn to every job interview in the last 3 years. His name was Ethan Cole, a 32-year-old single dad with tired eyes that spoke of sleepless nights and unspoken worries. Behind him, his 7-year-old daughter, Mila, sat at the kitchen table, drawing on scraps of paper, humming softly, completely unaware that her father was about to face a decision that could change their lives forever. Before we dive deeper into Ethan's story, if you believe in kindness, second chances, and the power of good hearts, please take a moment to like, comment, share, and subscribe to Kindness Chronicles. Stories like this one remind us that love and compassion can still surprise us in the most unexpected ways. Ethan had once been a dreamer. Before life pulled the rug out from under him, he was an architect with big plans, a husband with a warm smile, and a man who believed that hard work always paid off. But when his wife, Clara, passed away in a sudden car accident 5 years ago, Ethan's world crumbled into silence. Overnight, he became both mother and father to a little girl who had her mother's eyes and her laughter. Since then, every day had been about survival, working double shifts at a construction site, balancing bills and hiding tears from Mila so she wouldn't see how tired he truly was. That morning, Ethan's hands trembled as he buttoned his shirt. He was late for work again. His boss had warned him twice this week, and he couldn't afford to lose the job. He kissed Mila's forehead, promised to be back early, and rushed out the door, only to be stopped by the sight of a sleek black car parked across the street. Out stepped a young woman dressed in a pale pink suit, holding her phone and scanning the neighborhood like she didn't belong there. And she didn't. Her name was Isabella Hartwell, daughter of one of the richest families in the city, the same family whose company owned the construction firm Ethan worked for. At first, Ethan didn't recognize her. He only saw a stranger struggling with the map on her phone. He approached, hesitant, wiping dust off his hands. "You lost, miss?" he asked. She looked up, startled, then smiled, a soft, uncertain smile that didn't quite match the sharp elegance of her clothes. "Yes, I think so," she replied. "I'm looking for the site manager at Cole Constructions." Ethan blinked, realizing she was talking about his workplace. "That's me," he said with a wry grin. "Or at least the guy who'll probably get yelled at if he's late again." Something about his honesty made Isabella laugh. It was the kind of laugh that came from someone who wasn't used to being spoken to without filters. She followed him to the site, her heels clicking awkwardly on the gravel. While he worked, she watched him. How he treated every worker with respect, how he lifted heavy beams without complaint, how he wiped sweat from his forehead and smiled at her like he had nothing to prove. She had met hundreds of men, rich and charming, at her father's parties, but none of them had ever seemed as quietly confident as this man in worn boots and dusty jeans. Over the next few days, Isabella returned again and again. Officially, she was inspecting her family's project, but unofficially, she was drawn to the way Ethan seemed untouched by her world of privilege. One afternoon, she watched him help a new worker who had dropped his lunch. Ethan gave up his own meal without a second thought. That small gesture stayed in her mind long after she drove away. Ethan, on the other hand, didn't know what to make of her. She was kind, sure, but people like her didn't usually linger in his world. So when she showed up one Friday, standing by his truck with a soft smile, and a question that stopped him in his tracks, he thought he'd misheard her. "Ethan," she said, "will you be my date to the Hartwell Foundation Gala this weekend?" For a moment, time froze. Around them, the sound of construction faded into the distance. Ethan stared at her, his heart pounding. A date? To that gala? The event was legendary, a gathering of the city's elite, with chandeliers, cameras, and polished laughter. He couldn't imagine himself in that world. He wiped his hands on his jeans, nervous. "You must be joking," he said softly. But Isabella wasn't smiling now. Her voice trembled slightly. "No joke. I just want someone real beside me that night." He wanted to say no. He wanted to laugh it off and go back to lifting bricks. But then he thought of Mila. How she always told him he looked like a superhero when he wore a suit. How she wished he would smile like before. Maybe, he thought, this could be that moment. So, against every instinct, he nodded. "All right," he whispered, "I'll go." Then, one sunny afternoon, while fixing Mila's bike in the driveway, Ethan looked up to find Isabella standing there, holding 2 tickets to a charity event. "Before you say no," she laughed, "this time I want us to go together, not as rich and poor, just as 2 people who deserve a little joy." Ethan took a long breath, the sunlight warm on his face. "You really think a guy like me belongs in your world?" he asked softly. She smiled. "You don't belong in it, Ethan. You belong beside me." That evening, as the 3 of them walked down the street hand in hand, Mila between them, Ethan realized something profound. Life had taken everything from him once, but it had also given him something back. Not riches, not status, but love, the kind that doesn't ask for permission. Sometimes life's most shocking decisions aren't loud or grand. Sometimes it's saying yes when the world expects you to say no. And in that simple choice, Ethan Cole found his second chance. Not in wealth, but in the warmth of 2 hearts that refused to give up on him. If this story touched your heart today, please take a moment to like, comment, and share this video. And don't forget to subscribe to Kindness Chronicles, because somewhere out there, someone needs to be reminded that love still finds the ones who deserve it most. Special request, tell us in the comments. If you were in Ethan's place, would you have said yes to Isabella's invitation? We'd love to hear your thoughts below.